Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Busters Taste Challenge. It's dark outside. This rotten, no good daylight savings time, which makes it 5:30, really 4:30. Yeah, it's 5:32 a.m., but in reality, it's 5:40. It's 4:32 a.m. But I don't like daylight savings time. I don't like fake time. But I can't control it. So will it become daylight during this hangout? Live broadcast? I doubt it. It used back in May and June, it was, it'd be maybe even sunny almost at that time, but by the end. But can't control what goes on. Maybe one day the people of America will be woke to what's important, meaning getting rid of daylight savings time. Now, here is Barton American whiskey, a blend. Gold with like fancy little vines everywhere, and like a trellis and a red ribbon, gold and red. Now, if you get the Barton gin, it's like silver and green. The Barton vodka, the Barton rum, it's the same design, but it had different color scheme because Barton is a line of liquors and liqueurs. It's all kind of stuff. Like, I'll give you a good example. I was at a store yesterday and they had Chi-Chi's Long Island iced tea. Chi-Chi's used to be a restaurant chain, but that went out of business. They still make like tortillas, stuff like that for your own use. And they have a line of licensed premix. So they had Long Island iced tea, 25 proof, the big plastic handle, and it was Barton Brands. I said, oh, look. Now, so this is from Barton Brands, but Barton was bought by Sazerac 11 years ago. So it's a Sazerac company today. This is bottled in California or Kentucky. It says Los Angeles, California, or Kentucky. But since I'm in Louisiana, I'm assuming this is from Kentucky because I bought this in Kentucky. Why would they bottle it in Kentucky and ship it to, bottle it in California and ship it to Kentucky when they got their own operations out there? I bought this at Smoker Friendly on United States Highway 62. 60, right? No. I think it was 62 because 60 is further north in Louisville. At the intersection of 127 north. So you got that main highway going north and south through Frankfort, Kentucky, and then 62 going east-west through Frankfort. And right on that corner, after I had gone to the distillery tour at Buffalo Trace, which was very good, right on that corner, I went to Smoker Friendly. I said, let me check it out. It could be an interesting place. Was it? You could have bought 1,000 things there. It's one of those great places. And I saw this lowly little item for $6. It ended up being $6.35 after tax. After tax, $6.35. Now, do we get some Barton products here? Yes, I think I've seen Barton vodka, but it's not too common around here. Now in Kentucky, yeah. Well, I'm not in Kentucky. That's a long way away. All right. The competitor. Also, I've never seen this. I think maybe, I keep getting confused, but I think I saw this at Dorgnax in the big handle bottle. But I could be mistaken. Could be some mirage in my mind. But I definitely saw this bottle because I'm holding it. I saw this in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. And it was $6.49 plus tax. I wasn't expecting much. And I figured, I know it, I think it's a Heaven Hill product. And then when I did my research, it confirmed it. It looked like a Heaven Hill bottle because it got that straight cylindrical bottle, whereas Sazerac has the lip at the bottom, like a little bulb. And so I did some research. Well, I kind of knew it was because JW Dant Scotch. But anyway, it is Heaven Hill. Dant, we get some Dant products in Louisiana. We get the Dant's blended Scotch, JW. That's what they put in big letters. JW Dant in low profile letters. Guess they're trying to mimic J and B. It's actually really good. $8.99 a liter. We get the Dant's, I think it's called Bottled and Bond. Kentucky Straight Whiskey, other thing, but not this Charcoal Perfected that I'm aware of. What's my prediction on this? Basically the same price, although you're saving about 50 cents buying the Barton. Neither one, to my knowledge, available in Louisiana, in this format at least. But I could, these things can trick you up because you'll be saying, you can't get it then, but there it is. But at this time, I don't think so. The Dant has a very strange, unusual, aberrant, and improper flavor. The Dant tastes like I don't even know how to describe it. Some kind of strange caramel candy and nut oil. It's almost like caramel candy that they fried in peanut oil. You say, "Well, that sounds gross," and then they let it in cream sherry. You said that will give me the shivers thinking about that. It gives me the shivers drinking it. The flavors aren't, to me, objectively bad. What I mean is you taste it, it's not really bad, but it doesn't taste or smell like what a person would reasonably consider whiskey. To me, it violates the Tax and Trade Bureau guidelines for the United States government, which says that whiskey has to have the flavor, the aroma and flavor commonly associated with whiskey. And I don't know who would commonly associate this with whiskey. Introduced in 1956. Yeah, they had a few bottles on the shelf over there. Do I think a lot of people are buying it? No, I don't. What about Barton? I doubt that. Now, do they have some cheap liquor products that sell very well? Yeah, Taka Vodka in Louisiana is always selling. People buy that up like crazy. Like crazy. What are some other cheap ones that sell really well? I don't know. I think Crystal Palace Gin seems to do all right. But it's that Taka. You say that stuff's cheap. I don't know. Maybe it's cheap, but it's been on the market since 1952. Sazerac now says they introduced it. 1952. And then I noticed they had Taka 100 at Walmart over here in the little airplane bottles, 50-ounce, little shot bottles. Those are convenient because you could taste it and decide if you want to buy the big. But at first, Sazerac was saying, we don't know where the name came from. Like, why they call it Taka? Were they just trying to make it sound Russian? But they're saying they introduced it in 1952. But I think what they mean is that somebody working for them conceived Taka in 1952, and they came out with it, and then he died years later, and they never bothered asking, why did you come up with that name? No one ever asked. They just didn't think about it until it was too late to ask. Okay. Appearance, well, it's about identical. amber. So there's no real difference there. They're colored with caramel color. No age statement. It means they have to be aged at least 4 years. That doesn't mean anything because the whiskeys, the straight whiskeys in here, and I'm sure they're low grade. You know, they're not using Old Fitzgerald or you know, Pappy Van Winkle 18-year aged. You know what I'm saying? You catch my drift? You follow me? But regardless, they have to be, if they have no age statement, it has to be at least 4 years old. Now the grain spirits, and I don't know what the ratio is on the charcoal perfected, but I would assume it's probably about 20% straight whiskey and 80% grain spirits. What are grain spirits? They're just clear, odorless, colorless liquor. All right. Distilled from usually corn. You could use rice. You could use wheat. Well, you could use anything because all you're doing is getting it down to 0. You know what I'm saying? No color, no aroma, no flavor. You could do that with beer too. They do that with beer when they're making those flavored malt beverages like Bud Light, Lime, or Rita. They intentionally take the beer and make it at 0, meaning 0. When I say 0, I mean no color, aroma, or it's just a base. Then they'll build the flavors on that. Same thing with these. The base is the grain liquor, the grain distillate, the grain alcohol, grain neutral spirits, as they call it in the trade. In Scotland, they say grain whiskey, but it's the same thing. The flavor is going to come from that 20% bourbon. It's usually bourbon in America. But secondly, they can add up to 2.5% blending sherry, which can give it some kind of weird exoticness. Now in Canada, the Dominion of Canada, they're allowed to add up to 9.9%. 9.9% flavorings. Wine, doesn't matter what kind of wine, as long as it's barrel aged. They say aged in small wood. Well, you know, a barrel. They can use bourbon from the United States, rum, brandy. Crazy. You say, is that why those Canadian whiskeys have such an unusual flavor? Yes. Now, I said they are allowed to use the flavorings. I never said they were required to use the flavorings. The same thing in the USA. They can use blend and sherry. They don't have to. It's up to them. However they want to construct it. Let's look real fast, and then we'll do the challenge. I don't think it's going to be much of a challenge. I think the Barton's going to taste and smell more like bourbon, just going to be very muted. And that charcoal perfected is going to taste and smell like that weirdness I was talking about. ttb.gov. Here we go. That's what it is. ttb.gov. Home. Who we are, what we do, regulated industries. Let's go to distilled spirits. No, I don't want to do a survey. Beverage alcohol manual. Isn't that what I'm looking for? Yes, the manual. The beverage alcohol manual. Volume 2. Basic mandatory label information. Cover, governing laws and regulation, and the table of contents. Last updated 8 years ago. Okay, so now we go to type, class, and type designation. Then they have mandatory label information. Whiskey. Now, whiskey is a big category, right? So that's going to be pages long. It says spirits distilled from a fermented mash of grain, a fermented mash of grain at less than 95% alcohol by volume, 190 proof. So it cannot be stronger than that. Having the taste, aroma, and characteristics generally attributed to whiskey, and bottled at not less than 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof. So whiskey has to be at least 80 proof. Cannot be lower than 40% alcohol. That's the law. That's the law. Now we've got all the different types. Bourbon, rye, wheat, malt, rye, malt, corn, straight bourbon, straight rye, straight wheat, straight malt, whiskey, straight rye malt whiskey, straight corn whiskey, straight whiskey. You know what straight whiskey is opposed to straight bourbon? It says whiskey produced from a fermented mash of less than 51% of any one type of grain and stored in charred new oak containers for 2 years or more. See what that means? The only difference between straight bourbon and straight whiskey is that straight whiskey is going to be less than 51% corn. See, so it could be 1/3 wheat, 1/3 rye, 1/3 corn. It could be 50% corn and 50% wheat, but see, it's less than 51. That's the law. Whiskey distilled from wheat mash, from malt mash, from rye malt mash, light whiskey. Now, light whiskey is not what you're thinking, not light. But we're not going to go into that. Blended light, blended whiskey. Here's what we're looking at today. Blended whiskey or whiskey a blend. That's the two ways you can call it. Blended whiskey or whiskey a blend. Notice what they say on Barton. Premium American whiskey, a blend. That's the qualifying statement, a blend. Pay attention very carefully. Whiskey produced by blending not less than 20% on a proof gallon basis, excluding alcohol derived from added harmless coloring, flavoring, or blending materials. Straight whiskey or a blend of straight whiskeys, and separately or in combination, whiskey of any type or neutral spirits. All right, now you say, well, that's kind of complicated. Yeah, well, whatever kind of grain you want to play with, go ahead. It just says it has to be at least 20% straight whiskey or a blend of straight whiskeys. Now there's a little notification or footnote, let's call it, because that's what it is. Down below, down, 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 boogie down. Let's go to the very bottom. This thing is so long. They even have the, remember I was telling you, recognized cocktails. A daiquiri. This is the legal term of a daiquiri. Rum and lime juice or oil or natural lime flavor. Whiskey sour. Whiskey and lemon juice or oil or natural lemon flavor. See Chapter 7, Coloring, Flavoring, and Blending Materials. Oh, yeah, okay. Real quick. Then we're going to do this. A 2.5% number. So we go down to blended whiskey, and it's going to be whiskey. There we go. Whiskey. Blended. Whiskey, parentheses, blended. Yes, not to exceed 2.5%. So our harmless colorings, flavors allowed. Yes, not to exceed 2.5%. CFA 1 and 2. Label disclosure required. No. Look what it says. No, you're not required to disclose it on the label. You may, but you don't have to. Now let's see. It says CFA 1 and 2. Then we're going to do the challenge. CFA, category of flavor allowed. 1, all natural. Natural and artificial, containing not more than 0.1% artificial top note. Okay. Now, I have to go back to that other thing about the blending sherry, but I'm sure people would lose their mind hearing all that. Okay. Victor Meza, good morning. I was looking at a Tonka truck restoration video and saw you were live. Oh, that's pretty cool. I still have the same Tonka truck in the restoration video. I was into Tonka trucks many years ago. Oh, yeah, those were tough. In George Obama's book, Homeland, he also enjoyed Tonka trucks. Okay. Now, here we go. It's kind of good to let these breathe anyway. Okay. Let's go over here. All right, now by letting them breathe and talk about the coloring and all that added, the distinguishing features have dissipated. So now you just get a generalized corn or grain alcohol nose. You know what I mean? Just smells like some kind of generalized whiskey product. No big deal. I see you've been drinking Dant whiskey lately. Yeah, I'm doing that long march through the taste challenges. I have to go through the videos to see how it compares. I only do tequilas with the hard stuff. Yeah, it hasn't been comparing too well, actually. Nothing too fancy, just Patron or Don Julio. The Don Julio Blanco is a good value. Okay. I've never tried tequila, so can't even comment on that. But even though the distinguishing features have faded, I think this is a Dance because it has that kind of odd caramel candy, strange sherry nose, and whatever that's supposed to be nut oil. I don't know for sure, but it's odd. And this one, gotta breathe out like, because that'll hang around in your nose. Yeah, this got to be the Barton. Just smells like a Sazerac product, kind of clean, just bourbon. Let's go taste. Heaven Hill, you are a weirdo. Does it taste like bourbon? No. Does it taste like a weird nut oil flavored, strange sherry flavored, caramel candy flavored oddity? Yes. Yes. Does this taste like bourbon? No, it's a shade of it. Mainly it just tastes like grain alcohol, meaning ethanol, meaning alcohol that they made from corn, which if you put it in your lawnmower, it makes it run terrible. My lawnmower's running good now that I'm not using that ethanol, 10% ethanol gasoline. I went to that other gas station that uses only pure gasoline. I said, I guess I ruined my lawnmower. He said, well, is it still running? I said, it runs. He said, it's not ruined. He said, you start putting this gas in there. He said, let it, it's going to get better. Watch. You'll see. It did. I ran it Thursday after the hurricane and no coughing, no spitting up, no choking, backfiring, smooth running. I said, well, just goes to show you. He knew what he was talking about. I figured he did anyway. But I'm not a lawnmower. All right. This is not going to bother me. All right. It's very clear. This is the Dance. Oh, man. I don't know why you want to drink this. I really don't. Just had a good morning eye-opening shot of potato vodka. Potato vodka. I've heard that if you drink potato vodka, you never go back to regular vodka. That's what I heard. I mean, I said this from the get-go, however people are supposed to say that word, got, gone. It's not really definitively bad. You could, if you really struggle, make an argument for it I would not go that far. I scored it an 80, which is being generous. 80 out of 100, and a B minus. It's the lowest B possible without going into just a C average. You say, why would it be a B minus even with the strange, odd terribleness, and its terribleness in the context of it shouldn't taste like this? I would agree with everything you're saying, except that it is so unusual that it almost has like a quaint value to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like a quaint quality, but it's totally improper, and it doesn't, and to me, it doesn't even fit what whiskey should taste like. But I don't know how you go to court and prove that, you know, like this violates the Tax and Trade Bureau website. Gives you the like a little chill, like a bad chill up your spine and on your shoulders. It's really that chilling. Oh, Dant, what are you doing? What are you doing? This one really isn't any better. It's just grain alcohol. It's kind of hot, kind of burny, kind of bitey, kind of nothing. It's more pleasant, though. The only reason I say it's no better is there's nothing to it, but it doesn't have any kind of quaint character. You see what I mean? It's a B minus by virtue of its tolerable and even, I don't know, kind of good. I mean, it's designed to be a mixer anyway. This is not designed to be sipped neat at room temperature. And so no one buys it for that anyway. Everybody buying this is mixing it. Okay, we know that. All right, no one is buying Barton for $6.35 after tax and drinking it neat and swirling on the ground, swirling it around in a snifter, talking about all its intricate qualities. So for what it's designed for, a super cheap, mixing it with 7-Up and knocking it back with no thought, eating a pot pie and watching Rocky and Bullwinkle. It's probably not good enough for Rocky and Bullwinkle, but you know what I'm saying? It's fine. B minus. That's not a good score. You know what I'm saying? You say, well, it means marginally good. Yeah, but it's really not good because there's so many whiskeys that you can get that are way up in the A level, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94. And they won't cost you but $8.99, $9.99, $10 top. And I'm talking about there's a whole array. So why even waste? Why save $1 and get something that's 10% worse? I mean, there's no sense to it. A beer that's a B minus is nothing. That's not even good because there's so many that are in the A. Woof. 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 Well, it's been memorable. I still got more to go. Woo! I know it's going to say CP, charcoal perfected. Yep, CP, charcoal perfected. Can you imagine what it would taste like if it was imperfect? Holy smokes. That would be so bad. I'd rather if they pulled me into the closet and, you know, then they had that lady come over and talk about, you know, he tells her lies. Things that only a child would understand. I'd rather that than drink this. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. Thanks for watching this video production. And, well, charcoal perfected. Didn't lose today. It just tied. No, it doesn't matter. Got another shambles coming up on tomorrow morning. Another shambles.